You're listening to TJ's One of Us for the Always Next Year Podcast Studio Network. You can find the team on our Twitter at ANY Podcast. You can also find us on our website, www.alwaysnextyearpodcast.com. And now, to bring us in, the Jackdaws.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever find me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and so jiggle my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.
All right, we are back with another episode of the TJ's One of Us podcast. We're coming to you live after a very, very rough game against the Raptors in Toronto, where the Sixers just tugged all over our heartstrings. Every single one of them. I have with me here tonight Shane. Shane, how are you doing right now?
I'm about as angry as if someone from a deli put a pickle on my plate next to my fries. Like, I'm pretty pissed off tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so this is we've been trying to get pods going right after games. I feel like it captures our emotions best, and I was pretty amped up about 20 minutes ago to come to this one positive, but I mean, Sixers just took the wind right out of my sails, and I don't know about angry. For me, I think I'm more just depressed. Maybe it's the coming down from the 4 or 5 cups of coffee I drank today, but I mean, I'm gonna blame it all on the Sixers because that's what we're here to do. This was a rough one, man. Sixers take the loss to the Raptors, and we went scoreless in the last 4.5 minutes of the ball game. We had Drake dancing all over the sidelines with this smug-ass
Such
grin.
a tool.
Such a tool. I mean, yeah. Every time I feel like he's a good fan, I just hate him so much more. So yeah, I mean, let's start at this game from the beginning. I had some old game cast up. I was, just jerking myself off to the old scores because I needed that going into this fourth quarter. But let's get back up to the bad game that we had here tonight. All right, so the Sixers start out with a pretty good first quarter. I mean, they actually started out slow, which was kind of surprising, and then they just throttled back. I mean, they were looking okay in the first quarter. It wasn't so apparent that Joel Embiid was just not going to show up tonight at that point. Josh Richardson is just standing on his head right now. I mean, he is playing like a man possessed. So that's going to be the positive I'm taking out of this game and the Heat game, which we will also get into. But then the Sixers just hit a wall at the end of the game here. So let's screw what I just said. Let's get to the end of the game here first. Let's play off this emotion here. Shane, take me through your personal roller coaster of emotions as the Sixers go scoreless in the last 4 minutes of this ball game.
So we talked about it a little bit before we just started recording that we were both kind of like, if we lose this game, we lose this game. And then they went and lost the game the way that they lost this game. And I'll be honest, as a young lad, I was not always in control of my emotions over Philadelphia sports. Many a hole ended up in my walls and doors in my old home. I'm now an adult, so that kind of behavior is frowned upon. So they don't typically make me do that. Tonight, after Ben Simmons turned that ball over, I 100% punched my fireplace, which is like not normal for me. But I'm so tired every day now that I just wanted something good to happen. I wanted us to win a game that we had no business winning. And make no mistake, we had no business winning this basketball game. It would have been a really, really hard fought win to be able to sustain that over the 48 minutes playing as badly as we did fundamentally. But like I said, they found the one way to lose a basketball game that I think everyone else probably would have been like, I get it. This is an okay loss. And they found a way to make it not freaking okay.
Yeah, I think, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the difference of tonight versus, I guess, what we thought this team was coming into the year, and they still might be, right? We're pretty early on in the season, but to me, when your star player has his off night, because this is the worst game Joel Embiid's ever had in his career. He's never not shown up like this. I mean, they flashed his stats real quick at the end of the game. He was 0 for 11 from the field. And I would go as far as saying he looked like that little nerdy kid that comes in off the bench for intramural basketball, and the coach, smacks himself in the forehead and goes, all right, we got to get Johnny, 5 minutes of time right now so his parents don't strangle me and still pay for him to come back next year. That was what he looked like. I mean, he was dick down in dirt. He just looked tired. He could not dribble. He could not shoot. He was turning the ball over left and right. And that's okay, because Joe's our star, and we got to support him when he decides to have one off game.
I think this was a game he shouldn't have played in, personally.
I agree. He has been playing a lot lately, and we've proven it. Like he's not ready to go every single night. And this was a perfect load management game. Takes a loss. Sixers have lost 16 straight games in Toronto, I think it is.
14 regular season games, but who the hell knows?
Well, yeah, we're not going to talk about the playoffs. Those games don't exist against the Raptors anymore. Nope, never. So to me, I agree. Don't push them too much. Just go into this game. If you win and can steal one, awesome. If you don't, well, who cares? You weren't expected to win anyway. But when the rest of the Sixers, don't all step up. I mean, Josh Richardson, like I said, played an unbelievable game. To pull up his stats on the night here, he was 9 of 19 from the field, 5 of 9 from 3, finished with 25 points. I mean, that's about not what we'd expect from him, and that's an exceptional effort from him. He looked great in the first half. He cooled off a little bit, but, he's trying to just pick up the slack from Embiid. What can't happen is Ben Simmons turning the ball over at the end of the game. I mean, he had 7 turnovers for the whole game, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's just an awful stat. That on top of Joel Embiid not showing up is just not a recipe for success.
Yeah, like I said, to me, this was a game that you needed to not play Embiid. He played back-to-back for the first time this season. He looked exhausted. I mean, you mentioned that. He was dogging it down the court. And you can kind of tell when, especially when bigs, when they're tired, because it's not even so much that they're just physically, you can tell that they're physically out there laboring, but like even their vision, like Joel Embiid on that foul late in the game, on that Pascal Siakam spin move into the lane, which by the way was the 48th time he did that tonight. So I don't know why the freak they could not figure that out. The guy's got 2 moves. Very, very good at it. I'm just saying, you should know it's coming. But like his eyes were just wandering. He looked like he was just like, man, I hope no one comes at, oh shit, here he is. And like, before you knew it, he was late getting to the spot. He didn't even leave his feet for it. Technically he was straight up and down, but still moving. It's just, that's not good. And then Ben Simmons, I feel like I figured it out. Like the team is significantly better with Ben Simmons. So I don't ever want people to think that I'm sitting here saying like, I'm an anti-Simmons guy, but I don't know that I've ever seen a guy pick up his dribble so much midair and just be like, well, shit, I guess I got to find somewhere to go with the basketball now. Like it looks like he's just going 3,000 miles per hour all the time without fully seeing the field or the court. And it's impossible. Like slow the fuck down sometimes. And then these times where obviously he's a phenomenal passer, but that was an easy 2 points to Tobias right there, who, by the way, is obviously our best finisher at the rim this year. Like, it should be Ben Simmons. It's not. Like, he's an awful finisher. And then you got Toby there. Just give him a shot. And you didn't. And I don't know if that was exhaustion from Ben. I don't know if it was frustration. Ben has a tendency to kind of press, I would say, a bit with these better opponents. We saw it all last year. But it's frustrating when the two of them don't go. And have the kind of game that they had tonight, sloppy all around. But it wasn't just them, and it wasn't just the Sixers. The Raptors were bad too. It was just one of those kind of games.
Yeah, one of the things I'm happy we don't have to say, because this is something I was most worried about tonight, is I don't think we have to quite admit that the Raptors are still like a very, very good team yet, because they didn't show up either. You hit that pretty much on the head. We do play great defense, but they looked like this is about what you can expect when they play a very good team. And they won. I mean, you got to give them that.
Fred VanVleet's legit. I will give them that.
he's got that dad energy still. He's carrying it in through last year. I mean,
for sure.
yeah,
That and he's got the beard with like just the perfect lines. Like, good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's out there. I mean, he looks legit, and he tore the Sixers up a little bit. I mean, Pascal Siakam, I was saying this to you before. I think he is good. I'm ready to admit it, and I've talked quite a fair amount of shit about him. I thought he was going to fall apart this year. Thought the Raptors signing him to a giant contract was a mistake, but I was wrong. He does that one spin move to the basket that works every single time and tricks everyone in the league. So, like, we don't even have to feel bad about that. It gets everyone.
He doesn't look like he should, because he's awkward. Like, he just doesn't look like he should be as smooth doing that kind of a move. And he's really smart about it with the way that he like, his momentum's carrying him so hard to the right side of that lane. And he is such a good finisher with both hands that you have to respect it. But, like, you got to know. And he just has that feel. Like, he knows which foot the defender in front of him has, like, their stress on. Do they think I'm going to finish with the right, or do they think, or are they buying the spin move right now? And he just has that perfect sense. It seems like he's constantly making that decision when they're in between that step, and it wouldn't matter which way he went. He has him beat. I'm not 100% sold on him being like a superstar. I think the 26, 27 points tonight that he's averaging is kind of blown out of proportion right now. He has to shoot because 3 people are not playing on that roster right now. But he's good. He is definitely good. I will give him the better than average NBA player.
Still not Zaire Smith status yet, but maybe he'll get there one day. I mean,
nah. Also, total dick move, dunking at the end and then holding his arms out like that. Like, you're an asshole. Just dribble it out like everybody else. Like, Ben Simmons was literally sitting on the scorer's table, just like, well, fuck, that happened. Like, just don't. Oh,
after he chucked up that like 40-foot three to
with 3 seconds left.
I don't quite get what was going on there. Let's talk about that last second possession there, because we had 11 seconds left to inbound the ball, and we were down 3.
I was shocked that pass got in. By the way, I mean, that was ugly. That was a hard bounce pass.
It looks like they didn't have a play, which is unbelievable to me because they called a timeout before that. They had that play. I mean, even run like the stack like you do back in intramural basketball. I know I'm hitting intramural basketball hard tonight, but like that would have worked better than what they did, because their plan was panic for 4.9 seconds, throw the ball into Tobias Harris, heave up a 3 that he doesn't need to heave up, then miss that, get a rebound.
Yeah, that's a JJ Redick play.
Yeah.
And Tobias is not JJ Redick.
He is not. But the thing was, I wanted him shooting that ball at the end of the game.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Well, I wanted J. Rich shooting if it was going to be a 3. But if we were going to drive, I wanted it to be Toby. So, and truthfully, he had the step. Like, he could have taken it in. He did not have to turn around and put up that kind of a 3, which did look good off the hand. I was kind of shocked it didn't go in. But he had that step, to take it. And I wish that he had, and we would have just scored the quick 2, fouled, and tried to regroup. I think that was the play there, because we don't have a traditional 3-ball shooter, exception of, Yellow Shoe Furcon, and tonight the last 2 nights, Jay Rich.
Yeah, I mean, Jay Rich is shooting out of his mind right now, so we need to ride that wave as much as we can. I will say, though, I'm happy that Tobias Harris is shooting as much as he is right now. He's in a little bit of funk. Yeah, I agree. I think he's bouncing back. I think Brett Brown took our advice. I think he took him out to a nice lunch down in Center City. They got that, that Eggs Benedict or some bougie ass stuff that we don't even know about.
Square, LaCroix. Yeah. I think that's the name of the restaurant down that way.
Yeah. And I think he gets his role in the team now. He knows he has to step up in games, especially like this. And he played 38 minutes tonight, which we need him out there for. I mean, he plays good defense, a bunch of rebounds. Which
great block on where he hung with Van Fleet there in the 4th, and then had a ton of energy. Smack talking has been trotted down for the timeout call. I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree with that. Cool stat I learned the other day: the Sixers are leading the league in opponent rebounds per night. So they're blowing out the next closest team. I can't even remember who it is off the top of my head. The Sixers are beating them by like 3 rebounds a night. They're holding their opponents to less rebounds than anyone else in the league, which big shocker. I mean, we're gigantic and we're athletic, and we're long. Throw any other adjective you can in there. But to me, I'm pretty proud of that stat because even tonight it was just painfully obvious when we were missing everything under the sun. We were getting a million second chances and third chances, and it's not going to happen every night that we don't convert on all those. I mean, it's painful to watch when it happens like this, but I'm glad that we're getting those second chances and third chances because the shots will fall. And in the playoffs, that's so important.
I agree, like, completely. Obviously, second chance points it's a stat that usually goes to the Sixers or the opposite way for the Sixers. We're sitting here and we're saying, well, shit, Boston's got 18 second chance points and we got 4. Like that's usually the pattern. So it's great that we are getting those this year. However, don't we look like a team that just doesn't know what to do with 14 extra seconds?
Yeah,
I agree. They're either failing to get a clean shot off, taking it down to 13 and a half seconds, or they're rushing another shot without anyone under the rim. It's like they're 2 very basic things that you need to do is to regroup and reset and ensure that if you miss again, you allow yourself an opportunity to have someone underneath the basket. Tonight, it was Joel Embiid at the 3-point line half the night. Like, it just didn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. So I do wish that Brett Brown would sit there and find a way to make those 14 seconds like impactful and not just like, we got a second chance point that we weren't, or a shot that we weren't expecting to get. Maybe we hit it, maybe we don't. Who cares? Well, I freaking care. Like, get a good look.
Yeah. Eat the clock. I mean, they need to realize that they're best when we do play well in transition and stuff, but they're best, in my opinion, when they have a set piece going, and they take their time and can just control the clock and control the other team and set up and run something. 14 seconds is a hell of a lot of time in the NBA. I mean,
oh, yeah.
You don't need to panic like we've been doing. And I have to believe that will come as the team gets better chemistry. I do think that's a Brett Brown thing. I don't think that's anyone on the floor's fault. I think he needs to feed into them that, like, hey, 14 seconds is the perfect amount of time for us to run our offense still. Don't panic. Get the ball down inside. Let Joel Embiid, work with the ball for 3-4 seconds. If it's not there, shoot it back out and regroup a little bit. It's just not happening at all.
That's kind of the thing. Like, if you look back at those Dwight Howard Orlando Magic days, and they had the full 24 seconds at that time too, on those second chance points. But one of the things that you get in terms of those second chance points are when the ball's up in the air, assignments go out the window. You may just gift yourself into a mismatch. Like, you have got to take a second to scan the floor and realize, okay, Ben's got Fred VanVleet on him, who he's got 11 inches on the guy. Like, maybe that's the option right now. We got to find a way to do this or utilize some of that time. You are big, and everyone on this team on the 76ers has the ability to play 3, if not 4 positions on the floor effectively, no matter who is guarding them. Be creative. Work some mismatches in there. Try to create an opportunity. If it's Joe, get him on a small forward. It's not that hard. Create movement, and they just don't. Like, they just seem so ISO happy and on second chance opportunities, not in general. It's just like if Furkan gets the ball, he's just dribbling out and turning around and shooting. Like, it's painful to watch right now.
It's painful to watch. However, I will say that on nights like this, when Korkmaz isn't shooting great from 3, he's got that little floater developed though, which I've kind of learned to love.
Pretty beautiful.
It looks great. I mean, it's
almost
never
a
touched
the rim.
No, never.
It's like the bottom 3 inches of the net every time. It's just sex on a basketball court.
Yeah, and I mean, Zumov gets real into it every time too, which is even more hype. Like,
no.
I mean, I was stuck in. I chose to jet out of work middle of the second quarter, so I caught like a couple minutes of it while I was sitting in my car, and I was throwing my hands up in the air, like getting real into it when Korkmaz was throwing in just beautiful floaters there. And I'm sure the people looking at me in traffic on the 405 in Orange County were like, what the hell does this kid have to be happy about? It's dark out here and it's 65 degrees. The world's over. Like, But
Yellow shoes lighting up the 405.
yeah, I mean that's the one positive from those goddamn shoes. But yeah, let's try to get away from this game a little bit, but let's end it on one positive each and one negative each from tonight. So I'll let you start, Shane.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with a negative just to get it out of the way. This is something that I'm going to harp on, I think, for the rest of the year. So I don't know if you saw or if you were still in work at the time or not, but Ben Simmons, I think it was the first or second time that they got to the line where he smoothly knocked down both free throws. That was beautiful, right? He has the ability to do that sometimes. I've never seen a guy so passive at the rim. Like, unless he's dunking the basketball because there's literally no one near him, he is so passive. He's so big. He's so fast. He's so strong. I don't care if he shoots 55% from the fucking line. Get there. It's inexcusable to me to see Joel Embiid struggle the way that he has, and for Ben Simmons to just say, nah, I'm not going to use my body to get down, into the paint and create contact and get to the line and give us some opportunity at some points here. So outside of because I think the Joel Embiid thing is a one-off, I think this Ben Simmons thing is a constant issue that I don't know if it's ever going to change right now. That's my big negative. My positive is I love Josh Richardson out there having fun, and like you can tell he's having fun. Like during that Heat game, like even every single time the ball left his hands, he was just smiling and laughing. Like everyone knows I'm not this good of a shooter, right? Like I don't know what's happening right now, but I feel fucking good, and I felt good watching him. And he deserves it. He works his ass off. He plays a lot of minutes for us. He plays both ends of the court really well. And I feel like he's an afterthought, and he wants people to know that he's not, and I dig it. So, for, in my opinion, very obvious reasons, that is the big positive of tonight.
Yeah, I'm along a similar line to you on the negative here. Free throws. It's been a pain point all year. I mean, if you're getting tired of me at home saying that the Sixers need to make their free throws, well, hop on board and tell them to make their fucking free throws, because they shot 56% from the line tonight, which is inexcusable. Josh Richardson missed 3 free throws in the second half in a row, which, I mean, that's like a golden sombrero in baseball. That never happens. So he was even smiling and laughing after that because he knew how ridiculous it was, because he's a decent free throw shooter.
84% from the line.
Yeah. I mean, it's statistically improbable that he would miss 3 free throws in a row. So that, on top of the fact that we didn't get to the line a whole hell of a lot, be more aggressive, Sixers, get to the basket more, get your free throws, because they're free and there's no pressure on you there. So you should be able to knock down 75 to 80% of those, no problem.
If you're going to be this big,
yeah,
get to the goddamn line. You talked about it last show with Andrew, and I could not agree more. I mean, if you're going to embrace bully ball, go do it.
Absolutely. So we need to be practicing our free throws even more. If you're on the Sixers, Brett Brown, take notes, please, because you listened to us before and it worked. So, take another note out of our book. Let's get to the positive, though. And I think this is an important one, and this is something that we're going to be looking back on in a couple months, in a couple years, in a lifetime. This was Joel Embiid's worst game ever. We got it out of the way, which is super important, because he's never going to have a game like this ever again. And you know what? The Sixers stayed in the ball game because we're that good of a basketball team. We didn't win because we struggled in a couple other ways, and I'm not quite okay with it because of how poorly we played at the end of the game. But when your star shows up and goes 0 for 11 and looks like he doesn't even know that he's on the basketball court, just wants to be home in bed watching Netflix instead, and you can stay within 5 points to one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, that's a huge accomplishment to me. And I'm sure Joel Embiid's going to feel like shit. He's going to go hit the gym tomorrow after he sleeps for like 12 hours because our boy's exhausted. And he's going to go out there and work 10 times harder, and he might put up 35 the next night. So we got it out of the way. We can joke about this hopefully soon. And, when the Sixers are holding the trophy at the end of the year, Joel can think back to this night and go, hey, that's a turning point for me in Toronto. I realize, that I need to fall into this load management thing, and my health and conditioning is super important. Going to work even harder, and it'll humble him a little bit. It's done. It's out of the way. we'll keep talking about it a little bit, bring it up once again. But yeah, it's the worst game he'll ever have. So this will be a stat for the rest of his career because it's never going to get this bad ever again. So once you're at the bottom, you can only go up. On that note, let's go into some positive stuff. And this is something that me and Andrew were talking about a bit. I mean, how excited we were going into this Heat game. The return of Jimmy Butler to the Wells Fargo Arena. Shane, I'm going to let you start off because you got to watch it live because, as you poetically said on Saturday night as I was out at a friend's birthday party, shout out to my friend Greg. I actually just turned him onto the pod, so he might be listening. But Shane had said, how dare your friend be born on the night that Jimmy Butler returns to Philadelphia? and I agree. It was a game that, we were all looking forward to, but I was able to go out and enjoy my time with my friends and almost not worry about the Sixers game because they were up so much the whole game that I had a great night because of the Sixers, because of my friends. So, Shane, start us off here. Take us to how the game started out.
Look, it started out quick for the Sixers. You could tell that there was energy there. Like, I think that was the game they had the longest sellout streak going or current sellout streak going for NBA games, if I'm not mistaken. But so like a bunch of different executives and different people were talking throughout it, and like everyone kind of mentioned throughout this process last year and Jimmy Butler being here, and it was like this weird kind of like, shit, I really kind of wish he was here vibe that just kept coming off. And it's as if like the Sixers all had microphones in their ear just being like, oh, this is really what they think? Well, go after yourself. And then they went out there and they balled out. Like that was the first time all season, to me anyway, that they definitively looked like a great basketball team from start to finish. Like how many times this year have we seen at the end of games the ability to sit there and say, you know what, everyone important, sit the fuck down. Like we're going to roll out X, Y, and Z, bench player 11 and 12 and just say, screw it for the last 20 minutes of a basketball game. It's amazing. The one thing I will say is, and I know I'm in the minority here, I think it's pretty corny to boo a guy every single time that the ball touches his hands or the puck touches his stick, or they come up to the plate. Like, just fuck off. Boo him once at the introductions if you're really that angry, but move on in life. Like, it is what it is. We were up by 37. I don't really think that you needed to still boo Jimmy Butler. I think he got it. Like, he understands.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler shockingly was upset at all the boos. I think that's one of the reasons he did not play well. Because
I did not see that coming. He's such an arrogant prick. I assumed that would fuel him and he was going to drop 84.
Yeah, me too. Like, I thought we were going to get a barn burner of a game and he was going to have the ball at the end and we were going to be biting our nails and he was going to drain a three and then, like, just rub it in our face for the rest of our lives. Like, but he didn't. He didn't show up. It was an oddity to me. And, yeah, I think everyone else at home, too, we were all expecting him to be at the top of this game.
Yeah, for sure. And he did not shoot well. Ben Simmons did a great job on him. Toby, when he was on him for a little bit, did a really nice job on him. Just all around, like, they did a really nice job at neutralizing Jimmy Butler. And, it was, I will say that, like, the first half, Miami's 3-point shooting, just nothing was going down. Like, that was tough to watch. That was like watching the Sixers usually. Like, I was like, wow, I feel at home now. Tyler Herro really turned it on in the second half for him. Now he was getting more space because we were up by 87.5 points, but you still got to knock the shot down, and he was. So I don't think that the Miami Heat are, like, I don't think that they're 10-3 good, which is what they came in to that game the other night. But I also don't think that they're get blown out by this 76ers team by nearly 40 bad. I think it was just one of those, we rode the emotional wave a little bit better because we had an entire roster full of impactful emotion versus just Jimmy Butler in Miami. So it was an interesting game. It was a hell of a lot of fun. We both had this one circled on our calendar, going back to some of our preseason shows and expectation shows and things that we were looking forward to. It worked out. I mean, for me anyway, since your friend's parents selfishly, bumped some, X amount of years ago on this night, which is just terrible planning on their part.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, this game had a little bit of that feeling where you see an X across the bar, and you didn't quite know if you were over her until you see her, 6 months, a year down the road, and that's how it was for me. I was going into this game being like, ah, shit, I think I'm gonna miss Jimmy Butler. Been seeing him in a lot of sound bites, and him and Embiid have been like chirp each other up and on Twitter and in post game interviews and talking about it. They still got love for each other. And you know what? I saw Jimmy Butler out there, and I'm okay with the team we have. I'm okay with where he is. I get why he's in Miami now. And I think I'm at the point where I could casually call him and have a drink, and nothing would be weird. Exactly. I'm ready to move on from him now. So it took, 3-4 months at this point, but I'm over him. Ready to start dating again with this new Sixers team. So, yeah, I mean, it was an all-around great game. I mean, it started off with a bang, too, which is always awesome. Ben Simmons steals the ball from Jimmy Butler. You get Zumhofe calling out, "Take that, Jimmy Butler," which has to be the title of the episode. And he slams one down, and the arena goes nuts. I mean, you just couldn't have planned it any better. Start to finish, the Sixers were just all over the Heat. I mean, they outscored the Heat 28-13 in the first quarter, and it was just, that was the whole game right there. I mean, the Heat could never recover.
I think we held them to like 33 points or 35 points in the first half or something absurd. It was wild.
35. You got it right on the note. I mean, anytime you hold a team in the NBA to under 90 points, you're doing something right, because no one can play that bad and without the other team just playing great defense. And the Sixers did. I mean, they were just all around excellent that night, and that's what we have to look forward to here. So well done, Sixers. I mean, Josh Richardson, again, I mean, this with him coming back, I think this is the first game he came back from his injury, right?
Yes. Yeah, that was his first night back. So, unfortunately, we will no longer get to see his threads on the sideline. That man knows how to dress. He's a handsome kid. But I'll take 32 a night, and him laughing at himself, realizing he's not a good shooter and still putting up 32 points. And that was a lot of fun all around. It was a revenge game for him too, in a certain capacity. He didn't ask to be traded. But he's really embraced Philadelphia since he's gotten here. And I almost kind of think this is a bit of an FU to his teammates putting up 32 against his former team, because night in and night out, Joel Embiid's sitting there saying how he wishes Jimmy Butler was still here. And Jay Rich has got to hear those interviews, be like, dude, fuck off. Like, I'm right here. Like, that's just not okay. And I'm really glad. I think it was Spike Askin put it out. He said that Josh Richardson, making $11 million, scored 32 points, and making $32 million, Jimmy Butler scored 11 points. I was like, well, I think for a night, we have the better piece. Certainly not long term. But and then I think it may have been Spike again. I can't remember. It was either Spike or Mike. One of the two of them had tweeted out the Thibodeau All-Stars as they approach 30, the decline because of the insane minutes that Tom Thibodeau likes to play his superstars. Load management is something that he's never, ever done in his coaching career. And they've all died, like literally died. So, I would say that as much as I also, not unlike Joel Embiid, wish Jimmy Butler was still here. I loved his personality. I thought he was funny as hell. I thought he was personable. I don't care that he was full of shit, which he totally was. He was fun, and he was a hell of a basketball player. I think that shelf life is nearing its end date.
Yeah, because he's played a lot of hard minutes. It feels like an eternity since he was in Chicago, but that's where he started out, and he was grinding in Chicago because he wasn't supposed to be this good ever. I don't think he's from a mid-major. I mean, he's just always playing like he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he took that team over. And I mean, Chicago is a tough city to play basketball in. You just constantly have Jordan looking over you. I mean, can't imagine the pressure playing there, and he embraced it. Derrick Rose, just kind of fell apart because of injuries and stuff. I mean, to that Thibodeau point, I mean, he grinds his guys and and Jimmy Butler embraced it and then took off to Minnesota, where he played when he wanted to play, and he was awesome when he wanted to play. And when he decided he was done there, he blew them up, and I don't think the Timberwolves have recovered since. I mean, they look decent this year. They really do for the first time ever, and it's, a little unexpected. But, I mean, he destroyed them. Like, him just commanding the third string team or the local high school basketball team, whatever they were, like, to beat the starters and saying, you need me, to the owner. Like, there is no bigger fuck you ever in basketball than that move. It was an awesome story, and that's why we love Jimmy in Philadelphia. But, I mean, that stuff wears on you. Wears on you physically. He's had a couple knee injuries. I mean, wears on you emotionally to carry a team. And he's now in Miami, where it is his team, and he has to be the face of it. And when he doesn't show up, there isn't much of a team to pick him up down there. So,
not yet. We'll see. Like, Tyler Herro is a nice player. Bam is interesting. I think they're okay. Look, Jimmy Butler he's a big dude, man. Like, he is thick. Like, that guy he looks like a middle linebacker half the time, like a tight end. Like, he is huge. I don't know how you can grind out there that way. Non-ironic or I don't know what the word I'm trying to say right now. Apparently I've been up too long. That's probably the body type and body style that, Pelicans. I always blank on dude's name. He's like 700.
Or not that one.
Yeah, number one overall pick.
Yeah, the biggest name in all of basketball. How can we not think of this right now? This is embarrassing.
I don't know how we have a basketball pod. But it's like 11 o'clock my time, and I've been up since like 5:30, and I don't know what the fuck time it is. And your time, 8:30 on your time. Zion Williamson. But
God damn it, thank you.
Right, drive me crazy. That's kind of what he needs to look like in order to have an effective basketball career. And then you sit there and you look at what Jimmy Butler's is at 30, and like Zion's going to be dead by the time he's 29. He's already dealing with a knee injury, so I just think bigger body skill players like that. It's really hard to maintain that and play 35 minutes a night.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we saw it tonight from Joel Embiid. Like, he can't play the same every single night. I mean, the only person that can do that is Jokic. I mean, he is in the worst shape of anyone. Guy looks like he smokes 12 packs a day and eats 14 Big Macs a day, and yet he's still out there chugging along. I mean, he might move at half a mile an hour, but
I was gonna say,
so effective.
The guy, he is who you should have called basics, because everything he does is so crisp. Yeah. Like, it's so boring. I hate watching him play because he's so good, and it looks like he's not even trying. Like, can you imagine if he got into actual shape?
No, I can't.
Like, I just think he could play all 5 positions whenever he wanted.
Yeah, it's like, do you know who Roy Nelson is by chance?
No.
Roy Nelson is a UFC fighter. He's 5'10". He has a mullet with a rat tail, just straight up from down south. Hilarious dude. Gigantic belly. I mean, he fights in the heavyweight division. He weighs in at like 265 pounds, 250 pounds. If he lost weight and just looked like, a normal person, he would probably weigh 180 pounds and like skirt into the ring and destroy people. And he refused to diet ever. And he just knocked everyone out. Had an unbelievable chin, was just a crazy fighter. But he refused to diet and play the game. And I feel like that's what Jokic is doing. He's just saying, fuck you to everyone. He doesn't care. He doesn't even need to get in shape. This dieting stuff is so weak, you Americans. And he's embarrassing everyone with this. I mean, it's crazy. Like, Joel Embiid's got this great new body, and he can't cut it as long. Like, what is going on in Europe? What are they giving to their guys?
That's the thing. Like, we're like rich in like trans fat and just horse shit diet. Like, everything we have is awful for us. Like, we just smell like bacon to everyone. And like, these people who are not from the US, like, if they're fat, it's because they're eating the most delicious, perfectly good foods ever, and they can't stop because they're good for you. And you will still eventually get fat, like Jokic, who is a large man.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that it is weird that you said a trans fat thing, and not to get too far off the basketball topic, but when I was on that work trip, when the Sixers were playing the Raptors in the playoffs, and, we're not going to talk about that again. I already said it tonight, but I'm Not going to talk about it again after this, I promise. But when I was over there, I ate nothing but pasta and bread and drank wine all day,
See?
every day. And I came back like lighter and feeling great because I wasn't eating the crap that we have here in America. So
Right?
it's weird when that happens to you because you don't believe it until it does. Because I eat relatively healthy, but it didn't matter. I could eat a full baguette every single day in France. I could eat giant plates of pasta every day, and it was just better ingredients out there.
Oh, it's wonderful. Like, everyone gives me shit because I make my own pasta. I make homemade pasta. And everyone's like, you can't just keep eating that. And I was like, are you sure? Because I'm going to keep doing it because I feel better doing it. It's also a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
It's romantic. If you're going to sit there and get fat, you might as well, be romantic about it. I rolled this dough myself. I kneaded over it for 67 seconds.
We'll get back into basketball here after a second, but now I have in my head the scene from Big Daddy when Sonny and the lawyer are on their first date at the Italian restaurant, and there's the giant fat dude. He has the sausage in his mouth, and he's there with the date, and the girl's eating it out of his mouth, and they're laughing at how fat the guy is. And they go back there, and he's with a different girl, and the lawyer, Sonny goes, "Oh, I saw him here last week with a different girl. I think he ate her." That's just the picture I have in my head now. You rolling your own pasta.
It's you're not far off. It's a problem. Not looking great over here these days.
It's fine. It's the winter. It's bulking season here, so got plenty of time before we get you out on the West Coast and onto the beach. So yeah, let's end up this game. I mean, it's hard to come up with a negative here, but let's try to go one positive and one negative each here.
All right, you want to start this one or you want me to?
I'll start this one here. I mean, let's stick with the theme and go with the negative. It's so hard to come up with one. I mean, the negative to me is that Jimmy Butler didn't play better and give us the game that we all wanted. I mean, happy with the blowout. Don't get me wrong. I'll take it every night of the week. But, I was pretty jacked up to see a wire-to-wire good game here, and Jimmy Butler deceived us at that. So this is another strike against him. It's really all we need to say about that one.
Yeah, I don't particularly have any real negative here. I mean, we played relatively turnover-free basketball. We shot, well from the free throw line. Our guys showed up. We were up by 143 at one point. This is just a really good fucking basketball game. I will say that, when you come out to start the second half and you go on a 12-0 run or something to put yourself up, I think at that point, realistically, actually 28 or 29, you're right. That game's kind of over. And the energy is kind of gone. It lasted through the third, but most of that fourth quarter, I mean, the game was foregone. So, it was kind of lacking for energy for the full 48 minutes, but not lacking for results. That was wonderful. Did you give a positive? What'd you say?
I hadn't given my positive yet. So
Go for it.
I'll give my positive here, and I will say that the start to the game was what we've been looking for. And, when the Sixers come out with a bang and just bury a team immediately, it's really hard to come back on us because we play such great defense. And this was the first wire-to-wire victory we had, in my opinion. That really counts because there were a couple crappy games in there against the Cavs that they don't count. This was against a good team. The Heat are going to make the playoffs, and we might end up even playing them at some point. And we buried them. And that's something that we need to get better at as a team, just to start the game and finish the game with the same energy. Don't take a quarter off. Well done, Sixers. I hope we see plenty of more games like this.
So do I, man. I mean, can you imagine if we're going to have to revisit our preseason predictions for playoff rankings, and we are very, very off in both conferences. It's bad.
Yeah, the Lakers are playing out of their mind. I mean, the Warriors are going to be the worst team in basketball. That's going to be fun.
They're going to be sellers soon. It would certainly behoove them to do that. Try to stockpile some stuff to sit there and build around the two guards when they get healthy. My positive, we've talked a lot about Josh Richardson at this point, so I'm going to step away from him. Tobias Harris scored 19 or 20 points in the 28 minutes or so that he played. And it's important for a lot of reasons. So we saw the struggles of Tobias Harris. We saw him go 0 for 23 or something from 3 straight. And he kept shooting, right? Because he had that wonderful LaCroix breakfast and meeting with Coach Brett Brown on a Sunday morning in Rittenhouse Square in Philadelphia because we told them to. But I genuinely think he's a stud. And scoring 19 again in a game where he played limited minutes because we were up so much, if you take a look at, I think his last 8 or 9 games, the guy's averaging 25 or so points a night. And that's huge. You said it before the year that you thought that he was going to, lead the team or be, what did you say? What was your, I don't remember if you said he was going to lead it in 3. You said Al Horford was leading in 3s. Do you think he was going to be the high scorer of the team for average?
I thought he was going to have an MVP caliber year, team MVP, not league MVP, but just for him. I thought he was going to live up to every dollar of his contract.
All right. And I think we're starting to see that kind of play itself in. He's starting to see his role here, and I think that the team is adapting to him. They were treating him like JJ Redick early on and asking him to, there are different styles of shooters, and he just is not what JJ Redick was. And I think the team has figured that out. I think Brett Brown has figured that out, and they've found ways to accept the fact that he's got a really nice first move to the lane. If he can get there, let him go. And then he's got really nice touch on his shot. And it is more than just a 3-point shot. So they've found ways to make him a really effective scorer. And that, to me, in a game like that, was big. We sit here and Ben Simmons got what he wanted. Jimmy's off this team. Joel Embiid is not happy because he's not there. Jay Rich is playing against his former team, having to hear his superstar wish that he was never part of the team, essentially. And Tobias Harris was the guy that, was kind of like option B to a lot of people in Philadelphia in terms of the free agent market there. Most people wanted Jimmy Butler back and were pretty okay if Tobias walked. And that's a lot of energy in one game. And I think it's incredibly important that Tobias Harris came out and had the type of night that he had. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from Toby, and I'm all in on the guy.
Which begs the question, did we bring Tobias Harris back? And are we going to get a call out when he makes the Hall of Fame one day? Is he going to be up at the podium being like, Shannon Scott, I know you were a little down on me for 1 or 2 pods, but after that breakfast that you told Brett Brown to buy me, my life just changed. I've been an unbelievable basketball player for the last, 5 years, the end of my career. Here's to you guys. Do you think that's possible?
Well, let me tell you this. So the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast, which is we think the unofficial podcast of the 76ers. We believe that we are up there. But it took them 7 years before the president of operations or president of something had mentioned in an interview their name on live television. So they officially made it after 6 or 7 years. So I would assume that by the time Toby's in the Hall of Fame, that we're going to be up there with him.
Yeah, I agree.
I think
if he wants me to make the speech for him, I wouldn't say no. That's all I'm going to say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes, we'll write the speech together. We'll hand the mic back and forth. It'll be emotional for all of us. So we're looking forward to that one.
Speech writing 101.
Yeah. So let's get into this other game, which was a pleasant surprise on Friday night when the Sixers beat the Spurs in honestly another wire-to-wire victory. They did play good all night. Not as good as against the Heat. It wasn't just an explosive victory, but they just kept in the game the whole time and played good basketball. And we were a little worried. We thought they were going to overlook this one. It had huge just letdown potential as we were going into a big weekend. But, we beat Pop, and we did get an iconic Pop interview going into halftime. I don't know if you happen to see this, but they were interviewing him on TV because it was an ESPN game, and they go, Pop, what what do you have to say about the end of that first half there? And he goes, it wasn't good. And they're like, well, what do you mean? We didn't shoot good. Just in very Pop/Bill Belichick fashion, gave like a 3-word answer, looked like an angry old man who just ripped everyone apart in the locker room at halftime. And it didn't matter. The Sixers still took it to him. We had a big win there. I mean, that was a huge win against a San Antonio Spurs team that I'm not quite sure about yet, but I'm still going to count this as a big win.
And look, anytime you beat arguably one of the top 2 or 3 coaches of our lifetime, maybe in the NBA's history in Pop, it's a big deal. They're a team that I don't think has a true identity right now, but so long as DeRozan is going to be, a focal point there, I feel like there is enough around that they can at least remain semi-relevant, and they have. DeRozan did his DeRozan thing. I think he had like 29 points against us or something, which is what he does literally every single time he plays us.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the guy. I mean, the fact that he didn't get 30, I don't think he got 30 anyway. That's a minor miracle. But this for me, again, this was another big Toby game. Toby had, I think, 26 that night. Part of this swing where he's averaging that 25, 26 points. And then there was balance around the score sheet everywhere else. You were getting 3 balls and floaters from Korkmaz. You were getting rebounds and points from Joe. Al Horford was every bit as basic as we love him to be. And then Ben Simmons had his first triple-double. That wasn't against the Heat, right? I'm not missing him. I think Ben Simmons had the triple-double against San Antonio.
He did have a triple-double, yeah.
All right, good. So that was the game where he had that. Which, again, I feel like Ben has the least sexiest triple-doubles in the history of triple-doubles. Yeah. It's always 10, like 10, 10, 11, 10, 10, 13. Yeah. Like,
and guess which one is the 13? Like, not points.
Never. It's never going to be points. But it's important. Like, there's balance, and he ran an efficient game. And, like, if I'm not misremembering, like, I feel like he kept his turnovers, like, under 45 that game. I think it was just 5, 4 or 5, something like that.
Just 5, remarkably.
Just 5, so almost a quadruple double. We're getting up there. But it was just a really, really balanced game in terms of attack and then execution on the defensive side. So it was a really quality win.
Yeah, I agree. It was a quiet win. I mean, like I said, I'm real jacked up on it because it has a huge letdown potential in this game where you're just going to overlook this, and then you're going into Saturday and you got the back-to-back against the Heat, and then you're pressing against the Heat, and God knows how that game turns out if you're pressing and not coming in calm, cool, and collected. So this was, this to me was very, very important. It says a lot about the team that they can pick up these kind of games. I mean, it did tire them out. I mean, they played hard the whole game, but it was a good one. I mean, talk a little more about DeMar DeRozan. He plays a different style of basketball than the rest of the NBA. He didn't shoot a single 3 all night, and he doesn't shoot 3s ever. But he just scores like 30 points every night against the Sixers, scores 20 to 25 against everyone else in the league, plays very consistent basketball, shuts his mouth, although he's kind of asking for a trade right now, but just never says a word, and shoots this mid-range jumper that I think he shoots 99.9% from. I mean, it's unheard of for a little guy like that in today's NBA. I mean, he's
basically either a 6'6" version of Allen Iverson meeting a 6'6" version of Al Horford. He's like, if you merge the two skill sets of Allen Iverson and Al Horford together, and you were like, what does that make? DeMar DeRozan.
I could not agree more. It's an excellent comparison. I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, he's someone that, when I have a kid one day, I want to point him out and be like, that's who you should watch. Plays great fundamental basketball, doesn't ever force a shot, but he's willing to take a shot whenever he has to. I mean, he leads that team, and he's definitely gotten a rough draw in the NBA and does not garner the respect he deserves, but it doesn't matter. He comes out and puts up big numbers, and he's unfortunately on a San Antonio Spurs team that's at the end of a dynasty run. I mean, one of the best teams of our lifetime. I mean, they've been in the playoffs like 11 straight years or 13 straight years or something. I mean, there might have been 1 year in there where they missed, but
yeah, they're basically the Red Wings and Patriots of the NBA.
Yeah, and the Atlanta Braves in the 90s, and
That's
yeah,
true.
they're just very boring. They've won their fair share of championships.
Unlike
They got
the Braves.
Tim Duncan back on the bench now too, which is kind of cool. I like seeing him out there as a coach, and hopefully he takes the team over when Pop finally decides to hang them up. Yeah, I like when the Spurs come to Philadelphia, or we get to play them in San Antonio. It's always a game that I don't care, like you said, Pop's such a good coach that I don't care how bad they are, you're always scared of them. You never really want to see them. So well done, Sixers. Let's do the same thing. Let's go positive and negative here. I'll let you start this time.
All right. So we start with the negatives, right?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So starting with the negatives, I am going to go with free throws. In this one, more specifically, Ben Simmons. He got to the line 8 times, but he got to the line 8 times because Pop went full Detroit Pistons against him and said, hey, every time he gets the ball, just touch him. Like, I don't care. He's not going to make shots. And he didn't. And I think that gets into Ben Simmons' head. Like, he doesn't look comfortable. I think those are the moments where he gets to the line and he's like, well, I think now I'm going to flare my elbow out and shoot a brick from the free throw line and look ridiculous. So like that to me, like I said, he's going to have these games, but so long as he's getting to the line 8 times, which he has not been, he's been getting to the line over 2 times a game less than last year. That's a problem. It's a good thing, but the bad thing is the fact that he shot 50% from the line on those opportunities. And he has the least sexy triple doubles in the history of triple doubles. It's just like him and Iguodala's final triple double as a Sixer, I think, was 10, 10, and 10. Markelle Fultz, 10, 10, and 10. Like TJ McConnell, 10, 10, and 10. Like
what an elite class of players.
He's up there with just some really shitty it's just absurd in terms of triple doubles. Like he's never going to get a Russell Westbrook one where he's got like 33 points and 18 rebounds and 16 assists. Like it's just never going to happen. But my positive, I'm going to stick on it here. You know what? No, I'm going to move off the Tobias thing because I think I've worn that out. I'm going to go with Al Horford. When it hasn't happened a lot this year where we've had both Horford and Embiid play a really solid game, but not overly flashy and sexy. But they both played a really, really nice game and they complemented each other really well for the first time all year that I saw. But Horford played like 35 minutes to Embiid's 27. Let me pull this up.
28.
Yeah, to Embiid's 28 minutes. And he quietly had 18, 9, and 6. He shot an efficient-ish 57% from the floor, knocked down both his free throws. It was really nice to see both bigs, playing together and coexisting out there.
Yeah, I completely agree with the positive. Let me go negative here for a second because I don't want to wrap all 3 games up here on a negative. I also just feel like I was going to hit the free throws here, but you know what? I can't keep beating up on my soapbox with that. So let's move away from it.
Because we're white.
Yeah, it's true. That's all I can do is shoot free throws at this point in my life. I can barely move anymore. But I'm going to hit the bench here. No one on the bench played particularly well. It's a problem when that happens because we need to rely on them. And our starters, luckily, are so gifted that, when we have 2 guys putting up 20 points and Korkmaz, who started that night, coming at 17, and Al Horford at 18, and then the guy who had 10, Ben Simmons, had a triple-double. I mean, that's just a hell of an effort from your starting lineup. But the bench, aside from Ennis, I mean, he played pretty well, and he's actually been playing great lately. We haven't actually had a chance to talk much about him because we've been so excited
Why would
about
we?
Starters, right?
He's got terrible hair.
The worst hair. Oh, my God. He has not gotten the memo that we're the best looking team in the NBA.
That's what I'm saying.
All.
He's dragging us down.
Yeah. It's the reason that Shyak's not on the team right now. I mean, and it's going to get thrown down to the 87ers if he doesn't start stepping up the game. Come on. The bench just didn't really do it that night. It's okay. We still got to win, but we need them to have more quality minutes. And
For sure.
Mike Scott especially. We're a better basketball team when he has a couple threes a night and gives us that spark off the bench. So something to look out for. Make sure that the bench contributes. My positive is Mr. Yellow Shoes himself. We were texting a little bit during this game, and I hate to say it, like, this was the game that, I mean, I've been joking about Furkan Korkmaz being a stud up to this point. I think he is legitimately a big contributor to this team right now. This game sealed it for me. He went 4 of 7 from 3. He had 17 points, played 34 minutes, for God's sake. The guy is legit. He learned how to play basketball in the off season, and I am thrilled with him. He's putting in just quality minutes. You know, it's been a big surprise and possibly the best surprise of the year thus far to me. Well done, you yellow-shoed wearing motherfucker, for Furkan Korkmaz.
Do you think that, like, his success is coming purely from the stance that he knows that no one in the world wants him to play basketball for his team, and that he had to come back to the team that he requested a trade from, where he's like, well, fuck it. You know what? If I get cut, I get cut. This is what it is. I'm just going to shoot the damn basketball. And, like, he's playing free for the first time in his 4-year NBA career.
It might be. I mean, does he speak English? You know that? Yeah. I thought he did. I think we need to get him in a couple interviews. I want him to do like a sit down, like, you know, where the actors interview each other. I want Joel Embiid to sit down with him and interview him. Probably 2 awesome accents in there too, and just get inside the mind of Furkan Korkmaz and just what he did in the off season, how he feels about his role right now. Does he think he's a good basketball player? Does he think he looks good wearing the yellow shoes, which we've learned he doesn't wear during warm-ups. He changed into them because they're that special. I don't know, but whatever he's doing right now, whatever he's eating, keep doing it, Furkan. We need you. Great job. You're getting my positive of the night from that Spurs game. Nice. So that wraps up a tough stretch of basketball for us. Let's take a glimpse here at the upcoming schedule. Let me pull it up real quick. I think
we got Buddy Hield in his teeth. Then we have the Knicks. Then we have TJ McConnell and the Pacers, the whitest team in the history of basketball. And so we see the second whitest team in the history of basketball, the Utah Jazz.
Okay, so a mediocre stretch, lots of white people. And luckily we're playing the Kings in Philadelphia. They play everyone tough, and they're so hard to beat at home. I don't get it. Like, they're just a very average basketball team this year, but they play everyone wire to wire and just manage to find a way to be in the basketball game and make you sweat. And I can only imagine you're in the huddle at the end of the game with 30 seconds left and you're down by 2 or you're up by 3, and you're like, how the hell is this team doing it? I don't get it. They're so tough. They play so fundamental. Buddy Hield and his teeth just knock down like shots left and right. Like, they're a good.
I would kill to have Buddy Hield on this team.
Yeah, me too. I love Buddy Hield. I think we talked a bit about how he got his money and how he definitely deserves it. And
oh yeah, that's brilliant.
I thought this team was going to be a little better than they are. I mean, I don't think the record truly shows how good they are. So yeah, we'll watch out for that one. We got the Knicks in MSG and TJ McConnell game. I mean, if there aren't at least 3 or 4 of our fans that are just losing their minds in respect for the podcast, I don't know what I'm going to do, but we're excited to see him back. I mean, I think he might even come out and cry a little bit at the beginning of the game because he misses us so much. But yeah, we're excited to see TJ back in Wells Fargo.
For sure.
All right, so let's move into a couple other things I want to cover here. We have 3 games to get into there, so it's getting a little longer than I thought. One thing I do want to touch on real quick is Brett Brown being named the coach of the Australian national team. Shouts to Brett Brown. You know, you will be able to tan in the off season in Australia and lead your boys, and hopefully you'll be living up to being a disciple of Popovich, and, you know, maybe getting Australia to be a decent basketball team when they actually have to play the real U.S. team, not the rejects we sent over this year who lost to Australia. So good for Brett. You know, it's also good to know that as he takes some scrutiny here in Philadelphia, that he has another job to fall back on. And I think it'll make him a better coach here as well. So do you have anything to say about Brett Brown here, Shane?
I we're big Brett Brown supporters here. Like we do definitely recognize some of the areas that he needs to have more attention to. But he's a good coach. Like I don't understand the hate that he's gotten and the harsh criticisms that he's gotten. And I hope that this is something that maybe alleviates some of that tension for some of these fans, and they realize, well, shit, if a national team's looking to put him in place here, obviously he's got some respect around the league, and around the game of basketball. Maybe let's take a step back and reevaluate because he deserves it. Like I said, he's a good coach.
He is a good coach, and he takes a ton of heat, more so than he deserves, for sure. Philly is a tough city to play basketball in, and he wears it well. I mean, he's had some growing pains along the process as the rest of the players have, and he's fared well, and I think he's in great shape as a coach now. I joke with him having a job to fall back on. I mean, obviously, I think the world of Brett Brown, too, and I hope he's here to stay for as long as he wants to stay here. But yeah, good for him. I was glad to see that he was getting some positive news around him because the media is not always friendly to our guy, Brett. All right, so let's move on a little bit in Big TJ One of Us news. Zaire Smith was brought back to the roster with Jonah Bolden. I mean, is there anything you've been looking forward to more than this year, Shane?
Absolutely not. Outside of the fact I would like to see him play.
Oh yeah,
but if he's not, if he's not going to play, he was looking pretty sharp on there. And I'll be honest, I have the jacket he was wearing. So when I saw him on the bench, I felt as though we were kindred spirits of some sort. So I felt an interconnection there that was kind of strange, but I dug it, and I'm comfortable in that. So Zaire, we love you, man, and I can't wait to see you in an actual Sixers uniform playing real meaningful minutes.
I'm going to ask you the question that everyone at home is thinking: did you go shave your beard into a dope ass pencil thin mustache at halftime and put the jacket on, so you guys could really just be inside of each other's brains during that game?
Oh, I got the fade on the side and everything. I touched up the hair. I have grills now, as they call them, grills with a Z, I think it is. I don't know. I am the most Caucasian version of Zaire Smith that could possibly be. So I am the inversion of him, which is fine. I accept that.
Yeah, I mean, we're just happy to have our boy out there on the court. He'll get some minutes soon, and soon the rest of the league will know why he is the seventh best player in the NBA. Then let's end on a bit. I feel like we have been shying away from doing bits because we've had so much Sixers basketball to talk about here. And this is in line with Furkan Korkmaz's yellow shoes. So I had decided to do a little, just trip down memory lane. And I had far too much time on my hands at work the other day. And, part of my job is perusing eBay and Amazon. And lo and behold, I stumbled across one of the ugliest shoes ever made, the Kobe TJOOUs. Now, if you've never seen these shoes, good, because it is the ugliest basketball shoe ever made. It looks like a cooler that was strapped to Kobe Bryant's feet. They were back in the pre-rape allegation days when he was still a member of Team Adidas and wearing number 8. And good God, are they ugly. But the game I want to play here isn't just telling you about ugly shoes. I want Shane to guess the market price on new inbox ugly sneakers from NBA yesteryear, and I've sprinkled in a couple newer shoes too, just so we have an actual evaluation of the market value. So Shane, what would you say the going rate for the Kobe TJOOUs in Space Moon, which is silver and makes them look even more like a cooler? What would you say they go for new inbox right now?
All right, so new inbox right now. These are, by the way, when you guys go and take a look at these shoes, because I know that none of you know what them look like yet. They're every bit as ridiculous and hideous as Scott has mentioned. Because they're Kobe's and because they're from when they're from, I'm gonna say $187.99.
You are wrong. They are starting out at $300 on eBay, plus $20 shipping, because this guy isn't even lumping the shipping in there. He's giving you a bargain. But if you want to buy them right now instead of bidding on these shoes, because they're still open for bid, you can buy them for the low price of $500.
All right, well, that's disgusting, and no one should ever do that.
No, I mean, so when I was going through these, the whole genesis of it was talking to some friends at work, and they didn't know what I was talking about. I pulled up the shoes, and they were like, "Oh, these are ugly." I thought about buying them to throw them up on the bookshelf or as a cool memento. And then I saw the price tag, and I was like, "Good God!" I mean, I'm not rich. Like, I don't think anyone could afford these, and who the hell would want them? So, if you want yourself a piece of NBA history, pick up the Kobe 2s for the cool price of $300.
Definitely don't. He's got a ton of much better shoes than that.
Yeah, the Mambas are. He definitely came
fantastic
with Nike. Yeah, I agree. Then moving on to the next shoe. This is a far better looking shoe.
I dug this shoe. Not as much as the later one, but I did like it.
The shoe that we're looking at here, and I'm going to tweet all these out for you guys so you can take a look at what exactly we're talking about. It was the white Nike men's Shocks that Vince Carter wore, the original ones on the Raptors. He had ones that were white and purple. I couldn't quite find those, so I found this cool white and silver pair that I believe he did wear a little bit, not as much as the purple ones. These are a classic shoe. When I was younger, I had a pair of Shocks, and I was always jealous that I was too little to get the Shocks to actually bounce up and down to make it look like I was doing anything in the shoes. So, Shane, if you had to take a guess what a new inbox pair of Nike men's Shocks, the original ones from Vince Carter, not the reboot that came out this year, what do you think they go for?
I'm going to say, man, I'm nervous about my prices now that Kobe thing went for $300 some. That's insane.
Right.
I love Vince Carter to death, but he's not anywhere near the marketability that Kobe was. So I'm going to go 135.
Okay. A little closer this time. They're going for 170, but you get free shipping out of this deal.
Right.
$170 is a lot of money to pay for a pair of sneakers. However, I gotta think that if you're on your high school varsity team and you show up in these Shocks, you might dunk if you've never dunked before in your life because they're looking fly as shit. They give you that bounce in your step. I'm gonna put these in the definite maybe pile. Christmas is coming up. I mean, maybe throw this on your list. It's an expensive pair of shoes, but definitely worth it, in my opinion.
I was a fan.
Yeah, I agree. It is also, I wanted to make sure I got a Vince Carter shoe in here because it is also his last year, and he hasn't been getting the media tour that I really thought he would be getting. So this is our continued homage to Vince Carter in his last year as the grandfather of the NBA. All right, so moving on to a shoe that we're both big fans of here at TJ's One of Us. The Adidas T-Mac 1 in the sexy black and blue that is the exact Orlando Magic silhouette. This shoe is very boxy, kind of like the Kobe one, but it had a cool cut to it. It has this crazy line that comes over the toe. It's got the Three Stripes brand because T-Mac was an Adidas boy. So Shane, I found a couple pairs of these ones around, and I was pretty happy to see it. If you had to guess what, now this is one of the harder colorways to find, so take that into account here. But if you had to guess what a new inbox Adidas T-Mac 1 from back in the day would go for, what would you guess?
So I remember getting yelled at by my father for getting these not only in the black and blue as we're discussing right now, but also the white with the blue.
Oh, yeah.
So because I needed them for home and away, which was strange because we were purple and gold. So I was like the Furcon, but white, and instead of yellow, totally opposite other colors that didn't match. But I couldn't help it because they were the coolest looking shoe that was out there, and everyone else at the time was getting Iversons. So I vaguely remember my dad being super mad at me for getting $200 shoes. But because this is those black classic ones, I'm going to say like $235.
So this is the bargain of the night for me. I found a pair. What size shoe are you, Shane?
Like 10.5, 11.
10.5. Okay, these are 9, so it's a little small for you, a little big for me. I'm like an 8, 8.5. These go for $165.
I'd buy that right now, and I would wear them anyway.
Yeah, they're a steal. I mean, these. My brother had a pair of these, so I got them as a hand-me-down. He had the all-white ones. We weren't cool enough to get the black and blue ones, but Yeah, I would wear these in a heartbeat. They're a real comfortable shoe. I mean, a little bit heavy, but all basketball shoes were back in the late or the early 2000s. So, yeah, I mean, tons of ankle support. You might not be jumping out the gym like you were in the Shocks, but this is a quality shoe. If you have any sort of royal blue in your basketball team, or even golden purple like Shane, I suggest you take a look at these ones because, these are bringing back some good memories. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit after this. We might have to pick up a pair of these each. I don't see a real reason why not.
Oh man, 100% in.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Tracy McGrady here too. 'Cause he's someone that, I mean, he's on TV all the time, but I feel like people forget how good he was. With the recent Zach LaVine game where he came back and scored 7 points or whatever at the end of the game against the Hornets, we've been privy to seeing the T-Mac highlight where he scores like 11 points or 12 points in like 30 seconds of basketball against the Spurs and goes nuts when he was on the Rockets. Do you remember how good he was, and why don't you think people talk about him anymore?
I feel like he was just kind of lumped into a time where there were so many like sexy players that were out there. Like you had Allen Iverson, still doing his thing. Obviously you had Kobe, so you had each coast represented there. You had Steve Francis was his teammate at that time still, I'm pretty sure. Was he not? Or was he?
They were.
Yeah. So like he wasn't even like alone in his own guy in his own city. So I feel like he was just always an afterthought in that kind of respect, but he was always quietly really, really good. Like I loved Tracy McGrady. Like I feel like Tracy McGrady was like the entire NBA's Scottie Pippen, but who could score.
That's a great comparison. Yeah. Yeah. So I had a T-Mac jersey back in the day. I wore my brother's shoes. They were too big for me, and it got as a hand-me-down, but I agree. I was all in on T-Mac. All right, so moving on. I threw this shoe in there just to kind of give us, a little look into the present. So if you had to guess, well, I mean, you're looking at it now, so I don't know if you can see the words underneath it, but if you had to guess how many Air Jordan shoes there are, I mean, that's like not counting like the shitty dad team shoes that come out on the side that aren't that cool. The actual Jordan, one that comes out every year. What number would you say they're at right now?
When did he start getting his own shoe?
Be the one which is back in 90 or 87, 88, somewhere in there.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would go with like 31.
Pretty close. I mean, they're at 34, and that was the number I had in my head when I was looking this up. I thought that we were around 30, 31, and I'm a little shocked that, I mean, I'm a huge shoe guy, obviously, by this segment, and I tend to follow everything that drops, and there's zero hype around this shoe. It's not particularly good looking. Yeah, like, it's probably super comfortable, but, it's a Jordan shoe. It doesn't have the same shine that some of the shoes from yesteryear had. I can't imagine someone wearing this as a fashion statement or anything. It's a basketball shoe through and through. I'll tweet this one out as well, just so you guys have a view of what we're talking about. So this is one that you could go to Foot Locker right now and pick up. I mean, I'm sure in Black Friday sales you get 20% off or whatever on this. But before Black Friday starts up, what would you say the going rate for the new Air Jordan 34 is?
I mean, it's a Jordan shoe, so like 150, 170, somewhere in there.
Almost dead on, $180.
Yeah.
Which, if you follow Jordans at all, I mean, a new Jordan 1 drops like every other week, and they go for about $160. Like Travis Scott Jordans go for $220 and then resell for like $900. I mean, this is middle of the road. People are only buying it to play basketball, not that sexy, but hey, it's a Jordan shoe, and I wanted to throw it in there just so that, we have a grasp of what these classics are really worth. So this has got to prove how valuable that T-Mac 1 really is. It's just a steal of a shoe.
That's a fantastic shoe.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, I have the Furcon Korkmaz shoe, or as close as I could find to it. I'm pretty sure this is what he's wearing right now. It is the Kobe AD in yellow. God, is it ugly. It's not highlighter yellow. It's mustard yellow. A color that was never meant for shoes except for Furkan Korkmaz, who, if he keeps shooting the way he is, he can keep wearing these god-awful yellow shoes. But so help me, the second he becomes a bum again, we need him to burn them. So these are not in. They're not in. They're not in stock anymore. It's a 2018 shoe. I don't know how he's still getting stock on them. I would assume Nike burned everything they had left, but they're still available to him. So I had to go on StockX to find this one, which is just kind of like a shoe trading site, similar to eBay, but just on shoes, streetwear, watches, all that kind of thing. So I found a pair of these. The last one that sold in my size of 8. What would you say the going rate for the disgusting Furkan Korkmaz yellow shoes is?
Well, I don't know that we can call them disgusting right now if they were a Kobe shoe.
That's
like
true.
they just look wrong on Furkan. That's all. I think it's weird because he looks kind of mustardy, which is racist. But, if it's a Kobe shoe, it's over $200. Like it's I'm gonna say $200 flat.
Okay, so this is the shocker. In colorways that don't sell well on StockX, you can get them for pretty cheap. The last sale price in this was $129. So if you want to look like Furkan Korkmaz and learn how to shoot the three, you can go pick these up for $129, which, as far as basketball shoes go, and it is a decent-looking sneaker aside from the colorways. Maybe if you actually have yellow in your team's jersey colors, pick these up. I mean, it's not too expensive, which also begs the question, why is Furkan wearing the shoe? I still just don't get it.
Maybe it's because he can't afford to buy T-Max, which would look great with our uniforms.
How mad would you be
Wait.
if he comes out and wears the T-Max the next night?
If they come out and they decide to wear the 2001 black throwbacks, so I guess it was 2001. So with the old Sixers logo, which, by the way, not great. I know a lot of people love it. Totally not. But if they came out with that and he had a T-Max with the black, but instead of the blue with gold cross over it, that would look sharp as hell.
Damn right it would. There actually was a colorway of those that was gold and black,
but wasn't
and
it
white and silver one, I think, right?
The white and silver I know, but I think it was white and gold. I don't think they ever did the black and gold. I don't know.
You're right. It would have been white and gold, yeah. But I mean, it would fit almost too well with our jersey colors. I mean, I'm pretty sure Furkan is a shoe free agent, so if Adidas wants to snag him up and bring back the T-Max, he might have to be the guy to do it, and they will sell 0 sneakers with him as the figurehead of it. But I'll buy a pair. Maybe we'll get them on sale.
Yeah, I'm 100% for it.
And with that, we have Shane and Scott talk about sneakers and are shocked about the color of them. Or the cost of them. What a name for a bit. I might bring this one back every once in a while.
Definitely should.
I'm a fan of sneakers, and I spend far too much time on eBay and StockX and all that good stuff. So with that, I think it's about time we wrap this one up. It was a good show this week. Shin, will you please read the Just Food ad read for our friends at home so they can experience the delicious food that our friend Rob has?
You got it. So it is Just Food, and if you want to eat there, you too would get promoted to an NBA roster, not unlike Cyrus Smith, who ate there last week, I think. Just Food, 215-794-FOOD, 215-794-3663. Treat yourself, take it home, where we lie about NBA players visiting Asian Rob at Just Food. Again, 215-794-FOOD, 215-794-3663.
And on that note, I'm going to sign off here. Everyone at home have a safe and healthy Thanksgiving. Eat a ton of food for us, and we'll be back later in the week. We might be getting an episode in with Andrew in on Saturday. If not, we'll be back early next week. And until then, go Sixers.
A fighting man I used to be, revered and feared through Killarney. Now I'm back to hitching with the wind. But if Mickey Flynn should ever fight me, I'll throw me caution all behind me and square off on that son of a bitch again. He cracked open a river too, he beat me Sunday through and through, and so jiggle my unconscious frame. I won me healthy sheriff fights, well lucky son still had me life since Mickey Flynn beat me dumb and lame.